You have game number 3 up. Take us in.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 3 in the series between LucifroN and MarineLorD. Now, I know you might not be jumping up and down with excitement at the thought of a mirror match, but if there's any mirror match that you would want to watch, it would have to be a French mirror, because these guys, I don't know if you've ever seen it, Lidakor, but there's this famous clip of these two boxers in the ring, and they're heavyweight guys, they're big guys, they're heavy-set dudes with massive reaches, and neither of them knows how to block. They only both know how to throw punches, and they're just throwing punches at each other. And I suspect that's exactly what we're going to see today, as we've got MarineLorD, who spawns down on the south side of the map, playing as the French in the color blue. And on the right side, who is it?
It is LucifroN playing as the French as well, as you already introduced it. French mirrors out there, as you said, it's body blow after body blow out there. This is one of those matchups where you sometimes see players having 15 villagers after 25 minutes of gameplay, because both players just lose villagers left and right. Looks like we're going to have LucifroN going for that first scout back at his base. He's not going super aggressive trying to collect sheep, but I love how he's detaching them and just sending them back home, so that he's going to be able to move out with that scout a little sooner. 2 scouts for him, and on the other side we do have 2 scouts as well for MarineLorD, so identical openings. And now we would take a look at the maps normally and look at that beautiful map that MarineLorD has, especially all those forests up north. That's going to make life very easy when it comes to defending against those raids potentially. Just a tiny bit of walling and boom, you have a very safe base to work with.
That's a really good point. And by the same token, take a look at the walls that we've got here, or the forests rather, that could come up for LucifroN. So LucifroN has 3 forests nice and safely tucked together, all over on that south side of his base. So I would expect that we would see players look to mutually wall each other off towards those flanks, and then begin to focus more towards, LucifroN will navigate north, MarineLorD will go south, and that will be the way that they look to play it out. But yeah, this is a beautiful spawn that both players have got here. I think they're both going to be very happy with the safety of these spawns.
Yeah, indeed. This is a pretty fair map between the 2 players out there. Looks like so far approaches are identical. No surprise in this matchup. This is the civilization that got figured out the most. It is likely going to be just fast feudal with the School of Cavalry. And as you said, the first part, or the first stage where you could have deviations in the build orders, is going to be the players either choosing or not choosing to go for professional scouts, potentially thinking about the boar over here. Speaking of boars, we do have an interesting spawn for the boars here. And one of those,
just about to say it. Yeah. Look at that boar spawn.
Yeah, one of those could be very favorable, especially for MarineLorD. The one in the middle, that's right in between the 2 players, and it's actually rather close to MarineLorD. So you get the feel that if there is one person that goes for a boar, that should be MarineLorD for that one.
Yeah, and one of the things to note is that obviously with the boar, it's got a leash range on it, but that doesn't mean you can't aggro it to the edge of that leash range and then kill it when it's on the edge. So you could see MarineLorD basically have a boar within the same screen of his town center. Obviously, it's still going to be subject to raids and whatnot, but at the same time, it's very close to his base.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a French mirror, your entire eco is subject to raid, so it's not like it's anything less safe to go for a boar than to just chop trees 5 tiles away from your town center, really. School of Cavalry indeed coming in for both. No wheelbarrows so far for either of these players, and we'll soon figure out if either of these players are moving out for that boar. A mill has been dropped, though, for LucifroN on those bears, and this is something that MarineLorD sees. He likely suspects that it's going to be for wheelbarrow, though.
Indeed, and we do see a wheelbarrow coming out for both players. So mirrors up to this point in time are mirroring. So yeah, everybody going for the same thing, everybody on the same page at this point in time.
Did you say mirrors so far are mirroring? That's a golden sentence, I have to say.
Yeah, well, think about it, right? Have you ever seen what it looks like when you get a mirror and you put it up against another mirror? Have you seen that? So I think, where was I? Oh, that's right. I was on deployment and we had this mirror. We had a room with a one-way mirror, and I got a mirror and I put it inside the room with the one-way mirror, and I looked into it, and eventually it just gets to the point where it's black. You just see mirror, 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 and then it's black. And it's basically the same thing with the French mirror, because they mirror each other so much. You see the same wheelbarrow timings, the same scout timings, the same age up timings, the same night timings. Everything is the same until everything ends up black because all the villagers are dead.
And speaking of villagers being dead, though, as we discussed multiple times, you can't attack the gold mine of the opponent or any key resources in Dark Age with your scouts. But now that we're in Feudal Age, LucifroN is going to unleash hell with his scouts. There's also a scout here from MarineLorD to harass the opponent's gold mine. But the key thing here is that LucifroN is doubling down on this one. He's got 2 scouts harassing for a lot larger damage output.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So we can see that they're interrupting the gold mining. Now, the rule at the moment is no interrupting in age 1, but obviously we've reached age 2, and so as a result, you see players immediately looking to try and take advantage of this mechanic. Developers have said that they are looking into getting this fixed up because obviously with the attack speed change for the scouts, it means they're interrupting every 2 seconds.
Indeed, this is definitely not something that the pro players like, and obviously we have seen a lot of questions on the internet, why just not add a tuning pack, because technically now we have mods and you could just use a mod, as we do see professional scouts coming in, to decrease that. We just want to clarify that, this is something that we're receiving from the admins, that mods, yeah, they work, but they're kind of unstable. So just imagine a $125,000 tournament where we start adding mods just a couple of days after they were released. We could have crashes, we could have desyncs, and that is definitely something that could ruin the viewer experience. So, as a short-term solution, this decision was made after discussion with the players by the admins.
Yeah, especially when you're watching replays as well. And obviously, you know, there's no guarantee that you're always going to be able to watch the live game. And I've noticed with a couple of the replays I've tried to watch that it has said, you know, downloading mods, and then it will come up with an error saying, you know, something to do with mods, and then it will just immediately close out. So you'd want to avoid that happening. So we just play on the base game and then just put in these in-house rules. It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly. Like, these are issues that are not easy to fix. I mean, I'm referring to, let's say, the mod not loading up when the recorded game should have that mod out there. So,
yes.
Like, if we bump into a problem like that, plain and simple, we can't spectate that game because there is no way for us to fix it. So, as weird as it sounds like, there is the board coming up, but as weird as it sounds like, the easiest and safest way right now to avoid massive problems potentially for either the players or the casters is to have in-house rules like that.
Yeah, and now we do actually see not only MarineLorD going for the boar, but he did lure it closer to his base, so actually killing it in the stealth forest just outside the town center. So the original boar location was a little bit further away, but he did manage to bring it all the way back to this position. So he's going to be happy with it a little bit closer to his base. Will mean his reinforcements are going to be traveling less distance, but we do see professional scouts coming out from LucifroN. So 2 different approaches. Just all of a sudden, when you thought you had those 2 mirrors pressed up against each other, mirroring each other back, all of a sudden we see a diversion. We see a boar for one player and a professional scouts for the other.
And I love that boar spot for MarineLorD because, as you pointed out, he's getting close to his town center, but it's still in the stealth forest. And one thing that the knights don't have for LucifroN is line of sight. With that defensive tower out there in the stealth forest, MarineLorD can see any knight closing in very easily, and LucifroN has a very difficult time acquiring those villagers. He might not even notice those boar villagers for a long time. First knight coming out, picking off one villager over here as well. For LucifroN though, MarineLorD did wall a little bit on the north, but he wasn't fully walled, so that's the first villager kill of the game, I do believe.
Yeah, I think you might be right, but I would expect that he looks to wall up the rest of that, but we'll have to see exactly how he plays. And one of the other adaptations that we are seeing is LucifroN has actually decided to open with some spearmen as well. By the same token, MarineLorD just going for a double stable and instead going for mass knights. So we'll have to look and see how LucifroN begins adapting from here, but at the same time, you would suspect that he's going to have the advantage when it comes to fighting. And if a push ever comes to shove, then I would suspect that he will be quite the advantageous position he'll have.
LucifroN is mining stone, and this is something that MarineLorD knows. So MarineLorD is probably fairly certain that his opponent is going for a second town center over here, and with those resources for LucifroN, that is the likely scenario. So he has been playing very defensive, adding the spearmen. You see, he's camping his wood line with those spears. He has been playing professional scouts, very compact base, putting minimal emphasis on expanding. So it is going to be a very compact base once again for him dropping that second town center. He's trying to build up an eco lead, but MarineLorD knows this, which means that it's very easy for MarineLorD to react to this one, and looks like he's catching those spearmen off guard as well.
Oh, I'm getting excited by this. You know what? I think MarineLorD, I'm hoping that MarineLorD is thinking the same way that I am. But essentially, we can see now that the spearmen are going to be able to defend in this position, but he's just trading out all of the knights as they take damage. He pulls them back, but now being overwhelmed a little bit. But this second town center should trigger something to MarineLorD. It's that there is now a timing window here. Not only can you push and look to do damage, but you can actually push and look to kill your enemy. And Lidakor, you might be wondering what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Royal Institute, baby. It is one of the least used landmarks in this game at this point in time. Why would it be so strong in this position? Why would it be so potent? It would be because we've got lots of knights out for MarineLorD already. And so it's going to be very easy for him to go up to Castle Age, look to transition into that, look to get the Royal Bloodlines upgrade in Age 3, and just completely overwhelm his opponent with mass, fully upgraded knights in the Castle Age.
Exactly, as you pointed out, right now MarineLorD is on a timer. He knows he will fall behind villager-wise. There is no point for him starting to build a second town center now, because he would be behind in villagers anyways. Like, by the time he gets the second town center up, it's too late. So as you said, it's a timing window. And how can you maximize your damage output? How can you approach the enemy base as soon as possible with as much power as you can? That is the Royal Institute, with the extra HP on your knights. So that is definitely an option right now for MarineLorD. The Guildhall has much more longevity than the Royal Institute out there. But right now, MarineLorD just needs brute force power in the next 5 minutes, not a landmark that is really good for like the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. But let's take a look, because MarineLorD is now aging up. Is it going to be the Royal Institute, or is it going to be the Guildhall? I think it might be the Guildhall, because we are seeing barracks come down, which means Men-at-Arms is going to be the play that he looks for. Yep. We'll take a look inside the base, and it is indeed going to be the Guildhall. So maybe another day we'll see the Royal Institute, Lidakor. Maybe another day.
Maybe another day. I mean, he doesn't want to all in this pretty much. That's a sign that he doesn't want to all in this one. He still trusts his knights, and he is going to have a good chance with the Man-at-Arms, but that's risky, because as you see, LucifroN is also aging. LucifroN also knows that MarineLorD has to do something. MarineLorD has to be the aggressor in this matchup, because otherwise he falls behind an eco. There's already an 8 villager difference. So LucifroN is doing two things. A, volleying up the south to prevent the knights from raiding, and B, he's likely going to start adding Arbaletria. Indeed, the archer ranges are now coming up, and this is the problem with the Men-at-Arms. By the time you arrive to the enemy base, your opponent is going to have 5-6 Arbaletria, and you see, all of those professional scouts are still working to great effect over here. A couple of villagers getting intercepted here by the knights.
Yeah, this is where I really would have loved the Royal Institute. You can see MarineLorD stacking up almost 700 gold at this point. Would have been more than enough to get that Royal Bloodline upgrade. And obviously, Arbaletria don't do particularly well against knights when all of the spears in front of them are dead. But obviously, up against those Men-at-Arms, it's going to be a different story. So we'll look to see how he plays it. But I suspect he's going to be looking to put on the hurt towards that second town center in that forward position. Third barracks is going to be coming out now for MarineLorD as well. So really looking to try and kill his opponent as quickly as possible, because as you mentioned, he is on a timer and he knows it.
Right now, there's already a 9 villagers lead in the favor of LucifroN. One thing that LucifroN will have to add preemptively is going to be either a siege workshop or a defensive castle. He's not on stone, so defensive castle is no option. But a siege workshop would be much needed to make sure that he can deal with mangonels, because MarineLorD will have to add mangonels himself. Knights are still roaming the base of LucifroN here, and they're causing quite a lot of idle time. Not a single Arbaletria out on the battlefield just yet. 2 archer ranges are complete, 2 other buildings unfinished yet, and those knights are actually causing a lot of headache over here for LucifroN. Yeah,
well, these knights are veteran royal knights. They've got the fully fledged veteran upgrade against those spears. It's curious to me that he didn't actually take that fight. These spearmen are yet to be upgraded, and as a result, it means that the trades that you're going to be taking against them are a lot more effective at this stage of the game. But MarineLorD, back towards his base, he did change his Guildhall over to gold. I'd love to see what LucifroN's got his on. Is he going for a gold option as well? Is he potentially thinking about stone? He's already got that second town center, so stone becomes less attractive, but now a little bit of a pick-off in the middle of the map. He gets the veteran upgrade while he was having it, and it looks like those knights are going to be able to fall back as well.
Yeah, the knights turned away just in time. The veteran upgrade came in before that engagement, but ultimately, MarineLorD reacted so swiftly. You could see for a brief moment, LucifroN is on food, and there is a reason behind that. That is because he's just now starting to run out of carcasses, and he's yet to transition to a farming eco. Speaking of which, MarineLorD also hasn't transitioned to a farming eco, but obviously, he's got the map control right now, so he's able to leverage that, use the Huns, potentially even use the second boar all the way to the north. That could be an option as well for him, so he's definitely capitalizing on that map control, just now dropping the monastery. Same story. He wants to pick up those relics, and it could be a great way to cut into that villager deficit to just have the relics under your control, because that's going to amount for quite a lot of villager equivalents.
Yeah, I think so as well. The main issue that right now LucifroN is going to have is this potential timing window where he may get killed. But you can see he's got everything he needs to stay alive. He's got this nice massive spearman that's building up. He's got the Arbaletria that are behind it, and he's just working towards it. The main thing that could really take him out is a mangonel. If there's an early mangonel, that's where it's really going to get hard. And beautiful defense coming in. It looks like a single villager is going to go down. A bit of a long-range lance coming in there, but at the same time now beginning to push out towards that. Men-at-Arms moving in on the front line. No walls yet coming up for LucifroN on that western side of the forest. Obviously has him up over on the eastern side, fully walled in, but now chasing away this raid once again, but now opens himself up to a bit of a raid, and there we do see the Men-at-Arms moving in on the villagers.
Yeah, it was a great move from MarineLorD to just pull all those spearmen and more importantly the arbaletier to the north, because you see, they're all pursuing, which means that there was no one left back at the southern part of the base of LucifroN to protect those lumberjacks, and you see, those men-at-arms are actually causing quite a lot of chaos here. I count at least 1 or 2 dead villagers here, which is great value at this stage for MarineLorD. You see, there's only a 4 villagers difference between these two players, and MarineLorD, with these raids, he's just negating the effect of that second town center entirely.
Yeah, we see LucifroN now finally dropping down a blacksmith. We can see Bloomery as well as decarbonization coming in. The +1 and +2 melee upgrade or melee attack upgrade, but now LucifroN going to be researching balanced projectiles as well. But behind this, you can see MarineLorD has already researched +2 ranged attack. Oh, sorry, ranged defense rather. So he's going to be absolutely fine against any of those buildings. Even the arbaletier is not going to be taking full amounts of damage.
Looks like relics are also being brought in here by MarineLorD. And once again, those knights are still alive here, finally starting to get cleaned up by the spearmen. That little group of knights is just being used to great effect here by MarineLorD. And you see, once again, distraction comes in from the north and from the south. Here comes the push with the knights and the men-at-arms, and the arbaletier numbers are just not looking good enough to stop this before a couple of villagers would fall.
Yeah, ideally you'd want to have those villagers just tanking on the front line for the arbaletier, but unfortunately they just all head past through to the town center and try and keep themselves safe. And now a couple of scouts going to be looking to tank it up. A few men-at-arms look to get in the mix as well, and at the same time the wood line under threat. We now see the villager count slowly but steadily moving in favor of MarineLorD. He's on 58 versus 63. He's managing to keep up, and keep in mind he is taking the relics behind this, so it's definitely not over just yet.
It's not at all over. Looks like relics are also being brought in here by LucifroN as well. MarineLorD has 1 garrisoned already. LucifroN is bringing in the first one of his. And MarineLorD, he still could be thinking about adding a second town center here, just so that he's going to have a slightly better eco and he's not going to fall behind once the pressure that he's doing on LucifroN's base is going to shrink. But at this point, he's adding at least 4 archer ranges that I saw. LucifroN still yet to transition to a ton of farms. You see that he's just now dropping like 8 or so. Overchop on the wood line could be a massive factor.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a mistake coming through from him. He could have moved back towards... I mean, he's had ample opportunity to move towards another forest. He's been raided on this wood line, what, 5, 6 times probably throughout this game? He's overchopped it as well now, so going to give himself another avenue to potentially be hit. So we'll have to see how he looks to play it, but LucifroN now going to be under attack from the north. You saw a scout moving out towards that position. It looks like we've got... Is this a deer or a boar being taken? I think that's deer down to the south being taken, and berries up towards the north. So MarineLorD over the map, and now beautiful catch right here from LucifroN.
Yeah, LucifroN has to keep those spears all the way at the back over there, and now the arbaletier have sufficient numbers to repel the men-at-arms. At some point, MarineLorD will have to shift away from those men-at-arms, because without siege support, it's going to be impossible to break the defense of those arbaletier. And it looks like MarineLorD is switching it to archers, actually getting the veteran upgrade for them right now. And that could be a great way of playing this one as well. That is a red monk moving away, and MarineLorD was just idle with his own monk out there. Did you see that? That monk was camping there for some time, didn't pick up the relic, and LucifroN is going to yoink that away, so second relic being brought in by both players here.
Yeah, a little bit of a mistake right there. Always a bit unfortunate when you forget about the monks and it gets sniped out like that. But the third relic will eventually go over to MarineLorD. Though, keep in mind, he did have a bit of a jump in this situation. But now, boar up towards the north going to be taken as well by MarineLorD. So he's really avoiding building up those farms. What kind of farming economy does he have? Who even needs to know? Because we got more villagers being killed up towards the north right now as the Royal Knights look to connect with those villagers. Spearmen going to be able to scare them away. Beautiful farming economy for LucifroN, but for MarineLorD, it looks like for him, it's absolutely nothing. But we do have a second town center coming down, so villager count going to be quite even. And I got to say, I'm impressed with the way that MarineLorD played this. Typically in this situation, you'd see that second town center and you'd think, okay, I got to kill my enemy. They're on a second town center. But MarineLorD just says, well, I'm just going to kill villagers and then I'll add my second town center when I'm ready. He collects relics behind it and he's absolutely fine.
Yeah, MarineLorD was very effective with those raids as well, so he was able to cut into that villager deficit, and really, there was a minimal difference between the two players villager count-wise, as we do have a bit of a battle unfolding over here. The archers are appearing on the battlefield, and there is no direct response from LucifroN to this one. Suddenly, the battle is looking really good for MarineLorD here.
Yeah, MarineLorD not doing too badly. We see the veteran archers coming through now and going to be able to take out those Arbitria on the back line. But keep in mind, with their Pavis shield down, they're going to have that extra 5 armor. You can see LucifroN doing a great job with that as well. Just making sure that his enemy says, or he says to his enemy, if you want to come and fight me, that's fine, but you're going to have to do it on my terms, friend. But now going to be falling back once again. You can see how many Arbitria he's got out. And Arbitria just looks so well, or so good in this matchup. They're very difficult to deal with. I don't think archers are actually the appropriate counter, just because of the ranged armor that the Arbitria are able to have with that Pavis shield. If we click on the Arbitria right now, you'll see it might have a whole bunch of melee armor, but no ranged armor. When they do drop that Pavis shield, though, it's going to rocket up to the moon. So you can see, yeah, 7 armor right there, but with the Pavis shield, gives it an extra 5 ranged armor. So they just drop that shield, and they just stand there firing, killing.
And as you pointed out for a brief moment, the melee armor, it makes it much more difficult for horsemen to deal with them, because these guys, with the Gambeson's unique upgrade, they have a ton of melee armor as well. So light cavalry isn't spectacular against them either. Really, their best tool to deal with them would be mangonels, but there is nowhere to be found, or none to be found here for MarineLorD. He's going full archers right now.
Yeah, so heading into straight archers in this position. I guess if he does look to kite, then it could be the difference, because you got to keep in mind, Pavis shield's actually getting dropped down right now on the field. You can see them, and they are all glowed up. So he's just looking to hold this position. As soon as he moves away from the Pavis shields, though, he loses that ranged armor. And this is where MarineLorD can actually look to turn and fight, but he's going to continue struggling up against the men-at-arms coming out from his opponent. Keep in mind, he is looking to get that +2 ranged armor. Only got the +1 ranged armor at this point in time, but the Pavis shields are nowhere yet to be seen. And now we see the Wallalol coming in, looking to defend the villagers on the wood line. They're going to be able to evacuate with only one of the villagers going down. And at the same time, you got to kind of wonder for MarineLorD, is Archer the right composition in this situation?
Not at all. Those 2 men-at-arms are tanking up all the arrow fire out there. You see the monk also got intercepted. And now the reinforcements are also being picked off. This was a great engagement here for LucifroN, and that was only 2 men-at-arms as the main front line. Imagine that he had like 15, and that's the problem that MarineLorD is facing. He's behind on the Arbitria numbers, and Arbitria men-at-arms is something that he's going to have a difficult time dealing with, because the archers will just, even if they focus fire the Arbitria, the men-at-arms will clean them up. If they focus the men-at-arms, then they will basically do no damage and the Arbitria will clean them up. This is looking really good for LucifroN, especially because if you look at that stone count, that's gonna be for a castle, and in the position that LucifroN is in right now, I would think about a very aggressive castle.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. I'd be putting a castle down right on top of this monastery. I'd be even looking to potentially take the keeps away. But you can see all the production from MarineLorD is out here on the front line. Now, he's gone for a 3rd town center behind this, so he's going to be looking to try and capitalize on this. But now we see a siege workshop going to be coming out in response. He realizes that the archers don't seem to be working in this situation, and maybe the best response is going to be going for a potential mangonel. But now we do see that keep coming down. Not a lot of villagers here, but at the same time, there's so much military to protect this. This keep is going to be getting up, and now the villagers going to be looking to try and get up this siege workshop, and he just said, oh, hold on a minute, I thought you were meant to be built last Tuesday. Where are you guys? And siege workshop, unfortunately, not going to be getting up.
The siege workshop is not getting up, and full disaster now for MarineLorD, because that castle is going up. And remember what we discussed just a couple of minutes ago. MarineLorD didn't go for a single bit of farming eco, and you see the sign. The sign that he's dropping a mill on those berries is a sign that he's running out of food at the worst possible moment. You see, he has to make a farm transition right now, but that's the worst possible timing for him, because now there's a keep in his face. He's very close to losing that monastery potentially, and with that, he would lose the relics that he has garrisoned in there. He would lose all his production buildings over here, and LucifroN is in a great position right now.
And now we start to see LucifroN pulling ahead in the military count and population count. One of the other things to note is that with MarineLorD, you mentioned that he wasn't really on farms. Have a look at the food income for LucifroN at this point in time. We can now see he's got 3,900 food in the bank right now. LucifroN is saving up for a feast, and everybody is invited. Everyone in Twitch chat gets a food, because actually it won't be enough to cover everybody in Twitch chat. We'll have to wait a little bit longer. I'm sure you give it another 40 seconds and everybody will be invited.
Sure thing, Prime subbers will definitely be invited. That's the way that we can sell out over here. Arbitria now pushing deep into the base of MarineLorD here, and he's going to lose quite a lot of villagers. And as you pointed out, with all that food being pulled out, he could think about Imperial. Mangonel could be intercepted by the men-at-arms. Full disaster here for MarineLorD. Everything is falling apart.
It really is, and I've got to feel like it's the unit choice. Maybe it's just not playing enough French versus French mirrors on Highview, but he's going for full archers against just Arbaletier and a whole bunch of men-at-arms. It just doesn't seem to make sense to me at the moment. But now looking to begin transitioning into Arbaletier himself by the looks of it. A smart move. I gotta say, mass Arbaletier actually beat Arbaletier and men-at-arms. At least they should.
Indeed, they should. The question is, as I said, when will LucifroN go into Imperial, or how much siege LucifroN is going to have over here, because you see the siege workshop is now gone for MarineLorD. He's got 2 Springolds, 1 Mangonel over here. The monastery with that 3 relics are now exposed, and I think LucifroN is doing the right thing, just destroying all that production, which is going to make life even more difficult for MarineLorD.
Yeah, Mangonel getting some good shots there on the archers that are trying to push out and defend this position. So many men-at-arms coming out right now. LucifroN, once again, population capped. He's sitting at 160 at this point of 160. MarineLorD on the other side, still down about 15 pop. Going to be losing that Mangonel, unfortunately. And Springold's going to be happy that they managed to take that one out. But at the same time, LucifroN looking incredible. You can see, look, he's got 4 Springolds in queue right now.
Great battle here, though, for MarineLorD. He's able to take down that 1 Trebuchet with the Springolds out there. He did lose a couple of production buildings, but was able to take a pretty reasonable engagement. And LucifroN, is he going into Imperial? Because his resources are now nowhere to be found. Maybe he forgot about the Guildhall or something, but he needs to do something with that, because he either needs to push it right now or he needs to go into Imperial, but you get the feel that he stalled out a little bit, and you don't want to give that window for MarineLorD to recover. Yeah,
let's take a look at the guild halls right now. 5,000 food in that guild hall. Congratulations, Twitch chat. You guys are all invited. Everybody gets a food. You get a food, you get a food. And the Prime subbers, you get 2 food because, well, you guys have got Primes. But 2,600. Oh, he collected the gold just then. MarineLorD just collected the gold. All of a sudden, he's got 3.2k gold right now.
Yeah, but what is he going to do with that? As there is no food, there is no wood for him right now. If given time, he's going to turn that into Imperial Age. He might even buy some food with that. On the other hand, though, if LucifroN doesn't pull that food out of that guild hall soon, I get the feel that he's just forgetting about it, and that could be a disaster, because you see, that castle now is being trapped down, and LucifroN stalled out with this push. MarineLorD is still sitting on 3 relics, despite that monastery being heavily exposed. Now the raids are coming in with the man-at-arms, though, from the southern part. Raiding is definitely something that LucifroN could do to break this stalemate.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And we can see MarineLorD's Arbaletier numbers have built up. He's up to 32 Arbaletier right now, compared to his opponent LucifroN, who's on 30. But the big difference is going to be those men-at-arms. 24 men-at-arms coming out for LucifroN at the moment. And now the archers going to be looking to tank up a lot of the swords here on the front line. Unfortunately, falling back, these men-at-arms are going to be careful. And you can see the villager count looking actually pretty even at this point in time. 117 versus 114. Both players keeping their head above water. Trebuchet is going to be struggling right now to stay alive. You can see the men-at-arms actually going to be sieging them down. First one looking to go down. He's going to have to pull villagers. Indeed, he does. You see that plus sign. These guys are going to be absolutely A-OK. Men-at-arms completely going to waste here. And still now we see more units beginning to push in. LucifroN looking to try and take control of the situation. Springolds on the back line getting focused down. And wow, we've got ourselves a little bit of a battle right here, Lidakor.
A big battle coming up, though, with Tower Fire helping out, the archers helping out, and no meat shield in front of those Arbaletier. LucifroN is losing it all, and he's sitting on 1 food in the bank right now. You wonder if this was an overextension from him, because he just sent in all his army out there, down to 35 army, and his food income is definitely a problem. He flat out has forgotten about that guild hall, and now it's hurting him big time.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what he was aiming for there. LucifroN just sort of committed all of his army into that position, throwing it away. A very, very curious decision. He's now dropped below his enemy in population. Villager count still slightly ahead, but I mean, when you're talking about 115 versus 120 villagers, you don't really notice the difference. But now Springold's moving forward, looking to try and take out the Trebuchet, managing to get their shots on, and now the enemy Springold's going to be looking to push up. You can see the Arbaletier just pushing it back, and it's so interesting to me to see that MarineLorD took some time to get into Arbaletier, but once he eventually found the tech, he was like, oh, right, yeah, this is a good unit. We should make more of these. And now he's doing absolutely fine.
And yeah, we're entering the stage where it's a mirror setup with both players doing the same things, but MarineLorD is doing them slightly more effectively, using that guild hall for the extra resources. On the right side, look at that romantic gold mining operation. That's going to hurt LucifroN big time, because that is a castle right on that gold mine for MarineLorD as well. MarineLorD slowly building up a lead over here, I get the feel. Castle will be the response to that town center by LucifroN, though. This forward castle is still standing, so LucifroN still has a reasonable position to be in. But now MarineLorD has completed his farming transition, and you get the feel that he's slowly but surely getting back into this game and taking over.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like we've just got so much suicidal situations going on. You know, LucifroN just saying, yeah, you can take the gold mine at the top. I'm just going to take out your town center down here. And we actually see villagers getting pulled down towards the south. Let's have a look down towards it. We got a bit of action. Indeed, we do. Villagers getting pulled. They're looking to actually maul the villagers of LucifroN. And LucifroN probably going to be throwing away this castle. It's going to be doubtful if it gets up. But now an outpost is going to be put up in response to it as the villagers do get slaughtered here by the enemy villagers. And you got to say, LucifroN not looking pretty right now if this keep gets denied. And it does seem like it is going to get denied indeed. Keep gets cancelled. LucifroN in absolute shambles right now.
Yeah, the multitasking skill difference is actually showing quite heavily over here. MarineLorD, one of the best multitasking players in here, and LucifroN struggling a little bit with that because he's focusing so much on this fight in the middle. He wasn't really able to address the other issues at the back over here. Looks like he's going to respond to this one. He's going to try and stop that second tower from coming up. There's already a tower up with fortifications though, so he won't be able to completely stop that other tower from going up. And the problem for him right now is that there is just so many things happening over here. He wants to focus on this battle, but he's just being distracted left and right by MarineLorD.
Now, my big question is how much food is in that guild hall, and is everybody on Twitch going to be able to get 2 food each at this point in time? Because I'm starting to get worried about it. I'm getting a little bit hungry. We're heading into game number 3, and oh, there we go. Oh, Lidakor, you get a food, everybody gets a food. Everybody gets 2 food. Oh, my lord, look at it. It's terrible.
Just look at the resources for LucifroN. He's floating 2.4k gold. If he just pulled off that food, he could get to Imperial, and he could just get all the upgrades he needs with all those resources out there. And he's fighting a Castle Age versus Castle Age battle in a scenario where he doesn't have to, and the first to Imperial will not be LucifroN. It is going to be MarineLorD dropping the Red Palace in the middle of the map.
Yeah, very nice position there by MarineLorD. Now, keep in mind this Red Palace, once it goes up, you cannot contest it unless you have actually got siege to deal with it. That is the only way you can take it out. Whether it's bombards, whether it is trebuchets, that's the only way. Because if you look to try and take it with units, you will lose every single unit. Even 100 units will die to it.
Yeah, the Red Palace, one of the best fortifications, and in the middle of the map, that's going to control a lot. Now, big raid coming up here for LucifroN. We haven't really seen this for a long time. MarineLorD's wood income isn't going to be spectacular after this one, but he's got a quite decent resource bank, 2.4k out there, so it's not going to be that terrible for him immediately. Now he's up to Imperial, and maybe this prompts LucifroN to look at his guild hall and check out how much food he has over there.
Yeah, maybe he's like, oh, that's right, I do have that landmark. And speaking of landmark, take a look at those villagers just getting absolutely destroyed by that. But no, 8,700 food. So we are entering competition phase, not only for the $125,000, but also who can get 125,000 resources in their guild hall first. That is going to be the name of the game here. I've got my money on LucifroN, so you're going to have to pick your own horse.
Boy, oh boy, is LucifroN in trouble here, because right now it's Imperial Age versus Castle Age, but look at the army numbers as well, 65 versus 35, population looking way better now for MarineLorD, and it is Arbaletier into Arbaletier, but we're getting that elite upgrade in very soon for MarineLorD. I think he's grabbing Elite Archer as well, and I think this is the stage where he could start thinking about adding some cavalry as well, because raiding is going to be a possibility for him. He's dropping towers everywhere to deny those resources, really.
Yeah, and there's something beautiful about villagers of both colors chopping the same wood line. There's just something special, and it looks like he's going to tap out. He's going to leave the food in the guild hall. MarineLorD somehow manages to pull out the victory, despite looking like he was going to be throwing it away. LucifroN says, chat, congratulations, you get to keep the food. We'll move on to the 4th game in the series, and I'll see if I can muster up something else for you.
Oh, huge problem here for LucifroN. Now, would he have been able to win this game with the food? Not exactly certain, but it definitely would have helped a lot here. Obviously, it's a little difficult to focus on that. Like, let's give some credit over here for LucifroN, because obviously from our, in quotation marks, God vision, us being able to see everything, it's easy to criticize someone for not pulling off that food. But really, if we think about that, he has to focus so much on the fight, so much on the microing, and we haven't even mentioned all those proxy bases out there. And it's not like you're getting a notification for you not withdrawing the resources from the guild hall, right? It's not like an idle villager. Unless you specifically go back to your base, look at that guild hall, and then withdraw the resources, you won't even know it's there. And there's just so many things going on here for the players. So obviously it is a mistake, but in such a high level of competition and so many things to focus on, it's understandable why LucifroN hasn't really pulled off that food from that guild hall.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on in a game like that. You're talking about players that are managing to make it towards 300 APM and still not have enough APM to deal with the game as it is. So look, it's a bit of a mistake. I would say it's quite a big mistake coming out for LucifroN. He could have taken out that food. Oh, I'm gonna have to turn on my lights. Sorry about that one, boys. Oh, jeez. I was sitting in the dark there. All right. Yeah, I mean, he could have taken that food out of the guild hall at 2,000 food